Welcome to Chasing North, a podcast for purpose-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, and changemakers who know that real success isn't just about status, it's about alignment. I'm your host, Christin Mack, business leader, lifelong learner, and someone who believes that the most powerful journeys are often the most personal. Here, we dive into real conversations with real people, exploring personal growth, leadership, conscious business, and the deeper motivations behind impactful success. Let's get curious together, because every path holds power and your worth is not up for debate. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Chasing North. Today, I am so excited. I promise there will be laughter, there will be silliness, and maybe a little inspiration. So I'm honored that Tammy Medigovich decided to join me without knowing anything about this, because we have the first 8 victims or suckers that have not even seen what this podcast looks like or anything. So thank you to all of you who have trusted me, but especially to Tammy. Tammy is an Arizona real estate agent, like your day job, you know, your profession.
Yeah.
But is a mom, a wife, and just has always been someone to me that has lived her authentic self. We were trying to figure out how long we've known each other, and there's a debate, but we're going with 10 years. I feel like it's about 10
fair, yeah. Anything
years.
else makes us old, yeah.
Yeah, so 10, maybe 8, but not more. And what has always stood out to me is you've always inspired me. I've been someone who has not been able to really live my authentic. I always showed up as I thought people wanted me to. And I had leadership in my career that encouraged that, and conservative companies or whatever. And so I'm so excited to have you here today because I know a little bit about your story, but I don't know a lot. Okay. And so I'm kind of excited for that. So to start, what is your favorite part about working as a real estate agent?
Ooh, my favorite part.
And I know it might be hard to find those sometimes.
Right, especially when we're in markets like this, right? But, and this is going to sound cliche, but it's the people, 100%. Like I get to work with some pretty amazing people. I get from my clients to, and I suppose we'll talk about that in the authenticity part of that, like really cultivating the people that you want to work with. But then also in my team that is around me that maybe doesn't necessarily work with me every day, but they are my team, my lender, my, all of that. So
yeah,
100% the people.
Yeah.
100% the people.
I love that. So has that always been something that has inspired you, or is that always something you've been attracted to, is connection with people, or is that something you discovered later?
Yes. Ask me that question again. I'm assuming you can edit this, but ask me that question again.
No, it might not be edited because it's authentic conversations. So is a connection to people, because you said it's the people.
Yeah,
has that always
for sure.
been something that's been important in your life?
Yes. And yeah.
So tell me about that.
You asked me that question in a way that was not on my question and answer sheet.
I know.
So
I told you.
It's totally different. Yes, in a way that I have. So it's interesting because you said about you feel like you've not always been able to live your authentic life because of the companies that you've worked for.
Or just my own inability to just
I don't want to put words
know
there.
who I am, but all of that.
For me, my life up until I was in my mid-30s was as a chameleon.
Why is that?
Because I was not this out and proud, fabulous gay person that I am now, right? And I mean, I'm not probably as out and proud as some people, but when you spend your life not knowing who you are, or maybe not willing to say it to yourself yet, once you do that, and then you're like, okay, well, I have to put myself in this bucket because I live in a conservative state, or I work for a conservative company, or I have conservative clients, right? And you don't realize. So you start to be a chameleon and you mimic those that you're around. So I'm in this group and this is how I'm going to be. Not saying that I'm not always like 100% me. Like, I'm never going to fake being somebody else, but I'm not going to maybe show all of my life here or all of my life here. And then once you kind of accept yourself and you're like, I don't really care anymore what other people think, I'm going to live that. Then you start to go, okay, now I'm going to be like, this is who I am, and you're going to like me or not. And that's been a journey that only, I think you go through these decades of your life, and being in my fifth level of life, my 50s, I like, this is who I am, take it or leave it, you know, type of a situation. Did I answer the question?
You totally
Okay,
did.
good.
And so you said up for about 30 years, you weren't able to live your authentic life and be truly who you were.
Yeah.
Was there a moment or a something where you just went, enough is enough, like I'm just doing it?
I fell head over heels in love.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you're like, this is every day I'm now living this life. And you just don't want, like, you want to be able to talk about that. You want to be able to tell people, like, this is the person that I love. This is the family that I'm creating. And so you do just slowly start to go. And I think to a certain extent, age and maturity has a lot to do with it too. Yeah. And you start to release that and just become comfortable in your own skin. The first person that you have to admit is to yourself, right? Like, you have to admit to yourself first, this is who I am. And then you look around you and go, okay, these are the people that I want to have in my life. And once you align that, you attract your people, which is what we all strive for. So
the life before that moment or that series of decisions and conversations, like, hey, self, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Was that difficult?
No, because for most of my life, I didn't know.
Okay.
Right? So for most of my 20s, I think more people maybe knew than I did.
Okay.
I just didn't know. And by the time I started to maybe question it, then that is when I was like, oh, okay. And then things happen and you're like, you put that in a box for a minute and then you come back to it, right? Until you're ready to accept it for yourself.
Okay.
So.
And who is this person that sent you head over heels?
Oh, that's my lovely wife, Helen.
And that was an easy process for you guys to get married and all that,
right? That was that you clearly know.
Family.
Yeah, you clearly know that story. So no, that was not an easy. I mean, when we first met, we were 4,000 plus miles away from each other, and gay marriage was not legal in Arizona. It wasn't federally legal in the United States, so it was not an easy process. But we ended up finding a way, and then in 2013, the Defense of Marriage Act fell. And we were able to get a fiancé visa and get Helen into the country and, get married that way.
Wait a minute. She's not from like around here? No. You said 4,000 miles away. How far is that?
Well, I'll tell you. So she is Scottish, but she was living in Switzerland at the time.
Okay.
So I used to keep a lifestyle blog, and she was thinking about moving to the States and saw some of the stuff on my blog that I talked to, because I would write about Arizona and all these different things about what to do and places to see and whatever. And so we started chatting, and then she said, I've got a break in my job. I'm going to come out and visit. And she just never went home. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And the heavens opened up, the angels sang, oh, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
When she walked in the door, did her hair do the thing that you see in the movies?
Okay, so that she's going to kill me. I didn't know we were going to go down this road. I thought we were going to talk about a million other things, not this. When she first got here, I was waiting for her at the airport to come, down the walkway or whatever. And I'm like, it's taking forever. And here she had just taken a 9 or 10 hour flight to get here.
And you're annoyed that it's been
and
longer.
And I'm like, where are you? And I don't know for when you take that long I don't care if you take a 2-hour flight, you don't come off an airplane not looking a little bit disheveled, right? She came off just looking, like beautiful. And come to find out, she's like, I said, you like travel perfectly. And she kept that up for a while until I found out, that's why she was running late, 'cause she was in the bathroom sprucing up. But
oh, I love it.
yeah. But she came and we got to know each other. And then I had planned a vacation to go to Australia with my son. And I said, why don't you just come with us? She didn't have to be back for, she was in between projects. So she didn't have to be back. So we all went to Australia for 14 days. And that's where we really became a family.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's talk about your son.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So what's he doing right now?
He is, he graduated college last year and he is working the hustle. He wants to be a firefighter. So he is doing all the things to set himself up for that and working hard. Yeah, as he calls it. He's in his hustle stage of life. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Have any idea where he may have picked that up?
A couple places.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So all of that is and the reason that I wanted to discuss that is I do think that there's a huge, I don't want to say misunderstanding, but I think there's a lot of assumptions that are made about being gay or bisexual or just sexuality in general. And you said something really powerful. You said, I didn't know.
Yeah.
All these people around me knew and I didn't know.
Right.
And I think that I've had several friends who have shared that with me. And it's like everybody knew but me.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart. For some people, they knew and they just denied it and lived a lie.
Right.
And my heart breaks for them. But is there, again, the falling in love moment, and then when you came out, what was that scary? Were you like, this is great, this is going to be super easy,
no.
like no problem, everybody's going to just totally go for it?
No, it's not easy because, like I said, the first person that is the hardest person to tell is yourself. And you're like, okay, now I need to tell myself. And then I have to start telling other people. And you don't know what people think, right? I sobbed telling my mom, and she was like, "Okay, I thought you were on drugs. Like, this is not a big deal.
This is a big deal. Like, why are you freaking out?"
Right? Yeah, and then just slowly started telling my family, and then my dad was one of the hardest. But same thing. It's like I am very, very lucky, and it's important to know, like, not everybody has an experience like I had. I did not have anybody that said, you're no longer going to be a part of my life. Do people fall out of your life for different reasons? Absolutely. But nobody was like, I'm not going to love you, whatever, right? So I'm extremely lucky in that sense. And I feel really, really bad for people who don't have that, who are not surrounded by that love, and who struggle way more than I. So when I say it's a struggle, were there times when I first realized it in my life that I was in a dark place? Absolutely. But overall, that has been the least of the trauma buckets I could pull from to tell you things that have impacted my life. Yeah. Right. So I don't want to like come off like that made me this grand person that I am, because it was easy once I accepted myself. Everything else fell into place. That was just a part. It's just a part of who I am. It wasn't as traumatic as some people have lived in their life, where they really had to, like, the fact that I didn't know. I just was. It just was. I still had a really good, like, fun life. Yeah. It wasn't what some people go through. Yeah. So I really want to, I really want to emphasize that, because people, like, it would be inauthentic of me to sit here and to try and represent a community who has gone through way worse than I have. Yeah. Right. So that is important to say. You said something, you said the amazing person that I am. Did I say that about myself? You did. Oh, that's okay. People are gonna like yell at me like, she's got a big ego. Like, no, I don't think I already said it. Okay. I said it first because you are amazing. So what has led you through your life to be that? I mean, you are this
larger than life, ray of sunshine, thoughtful, like you enter a room and it's just like, Tammy's here. At least that's how I feel. And I think most people do. So like, what do you think? Is that something you learned? Is that just who you are? Did it just come naturally? Like how did that Tammy come about?
This is the first thing that comes to mind when this conversation happens. I was in, it was like my 12th or 13th birthday. Okay, this is a trauma bucket. Okay. It was my 12th or 13th birthday, and I was having a birthday party, or so I thought, but nobody showed up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for a 12 or 13-year-old, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
So I think for me, in all of my situations in life, I want to be liked. Right.
You're the only one.
I know.
You're all by yourself on that island. None of us need that.
I just think, and I was, I always had bad perms, and I always I've got kind of a big nose.
It was the 80s. We all had bad perms.
But I was never.
I had permed bangs. It was like
never.
This poof. It's like,
there was a wave, but I was never in style. So for me, being the comedic relief, if you will. And I always told my friends, like, my friends were always tall, blonde. They were the ones you would notice when you entered a room, right? Like, I always had they had bigger personalities than me, that kind of thing. But I always would tell them, like, I'm the dorkiest friend you'll ever have. But in a good way, in that, like, if I'm making somebody laugh or I'm bringing some joy to them, that like fills my heart. And that goes back to my, personality profile that is like, I am a performer. I love that kind of, and yeah, I probably do seek a little bit of that validation because of these, like, oh, I was never really like, why did nobody show up? Well, maybe nobody showed up because I didn't invite all the right people, to the party. Mm-hmm. Now I invite the right people to the party and they come. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that had a huge impact on me. And so now I just want to bring levity, lightness to the situation. And I just want to be fun, and I want to bring joy. And so I think I just learned, I mean, some of it you're born with, right? I mean, My dad is super funny, and I get that from him. So I just think that is where it comes from. And then you find your way to make it appropriate and light and all of that.
Yeah, well, you are succeeding in all of the things because I just love you. So let's go back to business just for a little bit. We'll just do a pivot. So the Arizona real estate market right now is, well, how would you describe it?
A joy. Every day, it's a joy. The contracts are flying in. I mean, it's so easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, it is what it is. This is a professionals market. Right? I think that's probably an overused term right now, but it truly, truly is. I feel like I have an advantage, and so do a lot of other agents. I don't want to say that, but I feel like because I've been through several markets, and because of where I learned how to do this business, I have certain tools in my toolbox, but it is, you have to be on your game. You have to answer your phone. You have to be contacting people. You don't just stick a sign in a yard and sell a house.
What?
You really have to know
That's how it is
what's
on TV.
going on. I know. It's so
Some of them don't even have signs, and it's, ooh, let's
Some of
do
them,
it.
they only look at 3 and they pick one of the 3.
Yeah.
It's
Is
fabulous.
that's not how it happens?
It used to, like, I can get my clients down to like 7, and pretty good. Like,
Was it always that way?
No. No. And it depends on your client too. I have some clients that want to see everything that's on the market before they make up their mind.
Sure.
And then I have some that's like, okay, trust me, once I see a couple of houses with you, I know what you're looking for. Now we're just going to look at the best.
Yeah.
But every client's different. So, but this market, you have to know a little bit of everything. You have to know what's going on the financing side. You have to know what buyers want. You have to know about the nuances of, any given neighborhood or house or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so you have to, your knives have to be sharp.
Yeah. So expertise, little important in the market right
A little bit. Just a little bit, yeah.
And
Tons.
I laugh because of the way you describe, it's a joy. And there are so many people that I talk to right now that say it's weird.
Weird is a good word.
That's the way that they're describing it. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because most of the people that I'm having conversations with are seasoned agents and have been through, the crash of the market, the 2010 TRID revision of all of that. And we all thought the world was going to end and it didn't. And then COVID. And so there's been these markets that those of us that have tenure have worked through. And so if you kind of agreed with the weird thing, what about this market is different than the markets or the seasonality that you've been through in the past?
I think this market is hyper niche. So you in today, you could have one neighborhood that you're getting multiple offers in and one neighborhood that you're seeing one showing a month. Right. And you're like, I got one showing a month. And that's really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that is where the weirdness is. And 1 week could be what we saw in an entire year versus, the next week is a totally different market. It's almost like every day you're waking up to a new market that you're like, what's today going to bring? And, it just is really weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to articulate just how weird it is.
Yes. Weird is the right word.
Right.
It's just that. It's weird.
Yep. Buyers are cautious, are being cautious. The sellers and this is just for me, but the sellers that I'm working with right now are moving maybe not because they want to, but because they have change in life that is, force is a bad word, but that is course correcting or putting them on a different course. And so you don't have just the people who are like, you know what, I'm going to sell and I'm just going to go buy a bigger house or
down the street.
Right. Yeah. Just because I feel like it. They're doing it for very strategic reasons. And so I think that is a component of it too.
Sure. And then expectations. So I know that oftentimes people see what's on TV, and that's, as those of us in the biz know, not what it looks like. So do you spend time when you've got clients setting expectations? Like, what are some of the things that you do when you meet with clients that are interested in buying or selling that help set you apart or help their path be a little less chaotic and stressful?
So it depends on whether you're talking buyer or seller. So
let's go seller.
Okay. So for sellers right now, you really have to set the expectation that we are no longer in the 2020 to 2021 market. You are not going to get 20 offers. You're not going to get showings in the first day, and you're not going to have it sold in the first weekend. So setting that expectation of really looking at the time span that what's your goal? When are you wanting to be out? What's the situation? And making sure that they understand that timing, and then letting them know what you're doing to push their listing, to push their home in front of the other ones. So setting that expectation, and then also setting the expectation of what buyers want right now or what they need. So a buyer wants to walk into a house and have it be sparkly, whereas in 2020, it could have had only one wall standing and they were paying $100,000 more for it, right? So now, we're talking about impacts of insurance is having an impact. How old is your roof? Because a buyer may not be able to get insurance, or it's going to be really expensive because of changes in the insurance business or industry. So you have to look at all of those things.
Yeah.
And on the buyer side, it's prepping them to say, you have a lot more choice right now, but you need to be prepared that maybe you're not going to get the shiny, because the shiny might not be that's the one that's going to have, 2 or 3 offers. I'm not going to say 20, but 2 or 3 offers on it. So preparing them for what that looks like. And then also preparing them, like, we're not going to look at all 500 listings that you qualify for. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to do that.
We're not doing it.
We are going to narrow this down. And what I do with my clients is we make a very thorough list. This is what you want. And then every house that we say no to doesn't have one of those things. And it evolves, but for the most part, we kind of know what you're looking for.
These are the non-negotiables.
Exactly.
And then the rest we can kind of figure out.
And then just, setting them up for that. And also for buyers, like setting them up for, we're in a world now where you almost have to give your firstborn when you're going through that process. And I know that's frustrating. I know it's like, I have to find one more document. It is the process.
Yeah.
It is the process. So.
And so real estate school, because I've been through it, so I can speak. I had my license.
And you learned everything you needed to know.
Totally. And I teach CE, so there's that. But when you go through school, they teach you, in my experience, they teach you how to pass a test. They teach you some of the legal aspects of it. You do take 6 whole hours of contract education once you're done with school, which is enough. But what I find, at least from my side of the table as a title company, someone who sees hundreds of contracts, thousands of contracts. I see more in a year than most agents are ever going to see in their lifetime.
Right.
And so what I notice about that is everybody's doing it a little different. Yeah. So I'm not disparaging. I'm just saying, just because you have a license, and I think that this is an important point, just because someone has the license doesn't mean that you shouldn't shop around and maybe take a look at some other options with agents and find someone that's going to be the right fit for you.
Yeah, 100%.
And so baby Tammy graduating and getting her real estate license, what would you tell her now after your experience and the things that you've done, or maybe other baby real estate agents that are listening?
So did you know that baby Tammy never wanted to get her real estate license?
I actually do know that, but I would love you to tell the story.
Okay. So I entered this business working for my dad, who owned a private money mortgage company. And I was on the loan side and enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. We were doing different kind of deals. And I think that's where I have this whole education that a lot of people don't have coming into this, because I saw so many different types of deals from different angles. Well, he also had a real estate company, because you have to have a real estate license in order to have is it escrow? No, it was a trustee sale company.
Okay.
And so you have to have your real estate license in order to do that. Well, in 2008, when everything started to kind of fall apart, we were getting back properties for our clients that were foreclosures. Thank you. And he said to me, you should really think about getting your license so that you can help liquidate these properties. And I said, I said, I don't want to get my real estate license. Could you imagine me like schlepping people around looking at houses? And then the very first property that I sold was a duplex in South Phoenix that I had sold to an investor for one of our borrowers. And so I felt this responsibility. I need to get this sold. And so I had that property sold, I think, before we even hit the MLS, just by calling all the realtors that I knew and calling all of my contacts. And then I sat back and went, well, this is kind of fun. and so then I started doing more real estate, and then just really started to love it. So if I had to go back to answer your questions, because I saw you looked at time.
No, I have to monitor things to keep us on track.
You're in charge of all these things. If I were to go back and tell baby Tammy, I would say, get a good mentor. And then I think what helped me is I tried different brokerages. So I came from a family-owned small brokerage. My dad was the only other person in the office selling real estate. Mm-hmm. But he was doing it in a different way than what I was going to pursue, right? So then I left there and I went to what I call a big box real estate company. And I got to learn from all these different angles, right? From different agents, from the owners, that just got a totally different perspective.
Sure.
And then ended up going back small because that's what I preferred. And then I opened my own brokerage and then just recently closed that and went to, a medium-sized local brokerage. And I think
is it
having
just
that
right?
It is just right. Like it is beyond just right. When it took me a year to try and this is you can cut this. It took me a year to try and
that was to Bill because she
that was
into the
to
microphone.
Bill. Yes. It took me a year to figure myself out and then to find a home, and I couldn't be in a more perfect place for me than here. So,
love it.
yeah.
And where is here?
Here is Good Oak Real Estate.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Yes.
We should talk about where you work so
Yes.
people can find
Right,
you
yes.
and all that
Find
stuff.
me there. You want to hear something funny? I'll tell you another story.
Of course I do.
Okay. So Tori Gannon is the owner of the company, and she kind of was helping with all my rebranding and everything. And she was like, okay, you need to put your phone number and your email like on this. And I was like, I don't want it there because then I'm going to get all these random calls and these random emails. And she's, oh, so you want to sell real estate, but you don't want people to be able to find you. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's so funny you say that. When I was in sales for a title company, I ended up finding my niche was sort of coaching agents.
Yeah.
Because a lot of brokerages just don't have either the bandwidth to coach or they don't have the program in place.
Yeah.
And so I went to Mike Ferry Coaching, which is a real estate coaching company. I learned what they were doing, and then I started sharing that with my clients and holding them accountable and kind of becoming a coach. And one of my favorites was when I would sit with an agent and say, okay, so how are you working your sphere of influence?
Yeah.
Oh, the people I know, I don't want to bother them. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Or I'm new here, I don't know anybody. Cool.
Right, yeah.
So what about open houses? That's a great way to meet people. Ooh, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, okay, well, we can door knock. You can door knock and promote listings in the area, talk to the other agents in your office. And I don't really want to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what are you going to
do this? Yeah.
And so eventually they come around and figure it out. You don't just send 40 postcards and get 20 listings.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
And so there's such a method to that process, right? To be able to build that up. So I think that's funny that you, even with all of this experience, still were like, oh, I don't want people to find me on the internet. God forbid, strangers call me. My phone rings and somebody wants to list something. Ew.
Well, so. I mean, even from the time, my dad built his business. Obviously, there's some hustle there, but by relationship. So that I walked into a company that was referral-based, relationship-based, and so I've kind of built from there. And yeah, when she said that, I was like, that was a moment I felt old, when I was like, oh, I have to change my thinking on some of this stuff. And yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So any last words, any inspiration you want to share with our audience, anything that you want? We'll put all of your links and all of your contact information when we post this so people might be able to find you. So alert,
right.
Warning,
somebody
be
might
prepared.
Call. Yeah. I don't know. This did not go anywhere where I thought it was going to. So
are you okay with that?
I think I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had all of these pre-built conversations that we were going to have. None of them came to pass.
Do you want to share one of those right now?
So here is where one of the great questions that was on your list was, where finding your alignment. It had something to do with alignment. Mm-hmm. And I think over the course of, each decade, I think we learned something new. And I recently listened to this comedian who she referred it to as a car. Each year you're driving this different car. And for me, it is, in your 20s, you're invincible and you're in the hustle and you're doing all the things that you need to do. And then in your 30s, it's like you're kind of performing for other people and you're still hustling, but you're really like, hey, look at me, you're trying to prove yourself. Then you get to your 40s and you kind of settle in a little bit and, you're like, okay, this is who I am. And now I've reached I've reached and had some life things happen that in my 50s, I'm like, this is who I am. My hustle looks different than it did in my 20s.
Yeah.
My alignment looks a lot different than in my 20s. How I define success looks a lot different than my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. And everybody, no matter where you're at in this business, like I know there's a lot of new agents getting into this business that are just like, hey, it's going to be a quick buck. This is not an easy job. And I hate that people relate it to like and no offense to the car salesman out there. Oh, it says wrap it up.
Yeah.
It says wrap it up. Stop talking. I can't. This really needs to
You're
be
fine.
an hour long. Okay.
You're totally fine.
So I think that the reason why people do this, we don't do this because it's a quick buck or because we're going to try and everybody who I know and I feel like I surround myself with good people is in this because they genuinely care about the success of whatever the people they're working with is trying to accomplish. I don't think there's this, hey, I'm going to make a quick buck. And if you don't have the care and compassion, I don't think you'll ever see the success that maybe you're thinking you're going to see. You might burn through, selling a bunch of properties one year, but eventually you're going to burn out of this business. So you really have to find the center, somewhere. And that has changed for me over the years. And I suspect it will as I get closer to that magical word of retirement sometime in the, like I can grasp it. I can almost reach for it. It's like a red wrap-up sign. I'm going to look at all the cameras and be like, ah! Okay.
Well, with that, I want to thank Tammy for being here. This episode is going to be very lively, I'm sure. So stay in alignment, keep doing your thing. Thank you to Bill, who is giving us all the signs and doing all the amazing production here at Podworks Studios. And until next time, be kind to each other and to yourself. Thanks for joining me on Chasing North. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd share the episode, leave a review, or pass it along to someone who'd be inspired. Until next time, keep chasing alignment, trust your path, and remember, your value is non-negotiable.